Here's the project we're going to do today. I'm calling this one Let's Go Rowing. Okay, and these are the stamps that were used. These are all Makin A Scene stamps, and this one is the Shore T2-035F. These two grasses are the grass tall and the grass short. They're M10-240C. This one is the Stony Point T6-149E. Water T2-045C, and this one is Boat with Oars M10-240C. And these are the different inks and other supplies that were used in this project. I'll also have all this information down in the comments, or not the comments, the description of the video. And so let's begin. Okay, I've got a quarter sheet of Kromekote cardstock here. This is a glossy cardstock. And I will start by stamping this rocky bluff. I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black. Now for the little boat, I'm going to use my stamp positioner. This is a stamp positioner that I got off of Amazon. It costs, last time I looked, it cost about $12. It has an acrylic plate and a little L. And so what you do is you put the acrylic plate in the corner of the L. Then you ink up your stamp. In this case, I'm going to ink up the little rowboat. And then you put your block right in the corner and stamp it on the acrylic plate, just like that. Then I like to re-ink before I start positioning so that my stamp is all ready to go. And then you take your acrylic plate and you position it where you want it. And so this is about where I'm going to want to stamp the boat. So you put the L back there. Now you don't want to move this L at this point. You remove the acrylic plate and you use the L as a guide and stamp your stamp. And that way you can get this positioned where you want it to be. And then I'm finished with this. Next I'm going to want to stamp in the background. Next I'm going to take the little water ripples and I will ink them up. And then I'll just stamp it one time on this side. And then I'm going to turn it upside down so I have a different pattern, and then I will just stamp it on this side. And now I'm going to give all this a chance to dry before I begin to color it. Okay, next I'm going to color in the water and the sky, and I'm going to use two inks. I'm going to use Memento London Fog and Memento Teal Zeal. And I will use just a makeup brush. This is a cheap makeup brush that I got on I bought a whole set of them at different sizes on Amazon. And I will start with the London Fog. And so I'll just bring the London Fog in from the side, and I'll just basically put it over the entire piece. And I'll clean off the brush with the dry microfiber cloth. And next I'll do the Teal Zeal. Okay, now I want to have a horizon here. So I'm just going to put a piece of scrap paper here and make it a little darker along the horizon. and I will color in the rocks. And the inks I'm going to use for those is Memento Desert Sand and Memento Peanut Brittle. So I'll start with the Desert Sand. Now I'm going to use a long skinny brush that also is with that makeup set. And I'm going to use the darker Peanut Brittle. And I will concentrate on the darkest parts of the rock here. Okay, for the grass, I'm going to use bamboo leaves and cottage ivy. And I'll start with the bamboo leaves. Now I'll use the cottage ivy. And I'll use my long skinny one again. Okay, and I'll also add some green up to the top. I'm going back to the bamboo leaves. And then cottage ivy. Okay, I want to add some more of the desert sand here to the little rowboat. And some more of the peanut brittle. Okay, now I'm going to use some alcohol markers to add some blue color to the boat. And so I've got some Copic markers here, and the ones I'm going to use is a BG70, BG72, and BG75. And I'll start with the BG75, and I'm going to just go along the very darkest part of the rowboat. Then I'll go with BG72 and BG70. And for the oars, I'm going to use E31, E34, and E37. And I'll start with the E37 for the very darkest part of the oars. Then E34 to start to blend that out. And then finally with the E31 to color in the rest of these oars. Now I'll use some of my colorless blender for these parts that I've kind of gotten out of the lines. And I'll use a little bit more of the E34, this is the mid-tone one, to add a little more color to the entire thing. Then I'll take a paper towel and just kind of blot at it. Now I'll also take the mid-tone E34 and add a little bit of that to the darkest area of the rocks. And I'll use some E31 back to my E34, and then I will dab it all up again with a paper towel while it's still just a little bit wet. And I think I'll also add some of this up here on the other side here to just add a little bit more. This is the E34 that I'm adding to the back there. Okay. Now I'm going to darken these trees a little bit with some G43 and G46. So I'll start with the G43. Now I'll take some of my G46 and also underneath the boat here, and then I'll blend it out with the lighter green. And I'll take my paper towel and just kind of rub that. And same with up here, I'll kind of buff it out. Okay. Alright, next I'll take these little stamps and I will use Memento Cottage Ivy. And I'm just going to ink up half of the stamp instead of the whole stamp. And then just kind of walk it. I'll also stamp some of the grasses with the Memento Tuxedo Black. And I'll use the Memento Cottage Ivy again. And now I'll take the bigger stamp and ink it up again with the Cottage Ivy. And I will do some big stamps from the bottom. Also, do some Memento Tuxedo Black. Okay, now I'm going to take my white gel pen. This is a Uniball, and I'm just going to add some water highlights. I'll put some squiggles over here on the other side to show that this is water. And I want to add some more grasses also, so I'll use some Cottage Ivy and I'll use some Memento Tuxedo Black. Okay, now I want to add a little bit of color in the reflection of the water, so I'm going to put some bamboo leaves with one of the small round makeup brushes that I have. Maybe also some of the desert sand. And I'll use my thicker Uniball to add the water highlights over here. Now I think the highlights on these rocks are a little bit too bright, so I'm going to just scrape off a little bit of it. Not all of it, but just enough to leave a highlight. Alright, now I'm going to sign and date it. And I'm going to go take it out and spray it with some Krylon UV resistant clear acrylic coating, and we'll be back. Okay, and here's the result after it's been sprayed. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye!